you would just have a seat in that chair over there at the end of that table, okay? Good morning. Like I introduced myself outside, my name is Jacqueline Goss. I work with the State Law Enforcement Division. Today's date is August 9th, and it is 10:53. Got to go over some paperwork before we get started. I'm going to give you a form, and I will fill out the top portion. You'll see that there are boxes here on this form. I'm going to review this form with you. That is your form. On those boxes, as I read those statements there, just if you understand, put your initials in those boxes, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I understand this is an investigation to determine whether any criminal laws have been violated. I understand and acknowledge that this is not an internal, administrative, or disciplinary inquiry. I understand and acknowledge that I have not been compelled or coerced to give a statement or answer any questions regarding this matter. I understand and acknowledge that my cooperation with this investigation is freely and voluntarily given. All right, and where it says signed, if you would please sign your name for me. All right, and slide it back to me. All right, if you would please tell me your first name.
First name is James.
And what's your middle name?
Cameron.
And last.
Welsh. W-E-L-S-H.
Do you go by, what do you go by?
Cam.
All right, Cam, what's your date of birth? And a good contact number for you?
8.
And what is your address? So are you
So I'm moving this weekend. The other address is 11.
all right?
But any mail and stuff can come to the Turbeville address.
Okay. Who are you currently employed with?
South Carolina Highway Patrol.
And how long have you been employed with HP?
June of 2014.
All right, and where are you currently assigned?
Troop 1, Post A. That's the Sumter office that covers Sumter and Clarendon County.
All right, obviously we're here in regards to a money count that resulted in there being some indiscrepancies based off of a count that took place and a count when it was taken to the bank. If you would, do you recall the night of the money seizure?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, and could you please review with me and tell me from start to finish what took place that evening?
Okay, so that night, I don't know an approximate time. Me and my guys, we did a checkpoint on Pearson Road at Old Stone Road. We were there just a short time before a vehicle came through our checkpoint that I actually spoke with. The suspect's name is John Holliday. He had a strong odor of alcohol and marijuana coming out of the vehicle. He also had a cup sitting in his lap of alcohol. At that time, I flashed my flashlight at one of my guys to come. I got him out of the vehicle for him to come do a field sobriety test.
Who was the guy that you flashed the light at?
Trooper Will Baker, W.E. Baker. So as soon as I asked the guy to get out of the vehicle, did a safety frisk on him. Trooper Baker took control of the stop and began doing field sobriety tests. The car was still parked in the middle of the road, so I asked Mr. Holliday if I could move his vehicle, got permission from him. I moved it to the shoulder of the road, kind of like a little dirt lane that was right there in the crossroads. And at that time when I was moving the car in plain view, in the passenger seat I could see a plastic bag, kind of like a dark colored grocery bag type thing, with edibles in it. You could see they were individually packaged edibles. I don't know how many, can't remember how many it was, but it was a lot of them. So between that, the alcohol, and seeing the edibles, that gave us, probable cause to search the vehicle. Trooper Baker was doing field sobriety. I had another trooper that was still conducting the safety checkpoint. We were all in proximity of each other, within 15, 20 foot of each other.
Who was the other trooper?
ZG Reichard. Last name is Rickard.
You know his first name?
Zachary.
Okay. All right, so Zach's still over there doing the checkpoint?
Yeah, Zach's still over there doing the checkpoint, still talking with some cars. And so at that point, I just kind of glanced over the vehicle as I was getting out. Could see in the back seat 2 large bags, so I figured, got a big bag of dope here, there might be 2 more big bags of dope. So I opened the back door. As soon as I looked in, I grabbed the first brown bag out and stuck it on the trunk of the car, and that's when I noticed it was full of money. I then looked at the second bag, which was a Super Mario Kart bag, and it was unzipped, just sitting there open. Looked in it, it had money. At that time, I radioed to Trooper Baker to go ahead and place Mr. Holliday under arrest, just cease his field sobriety test. That we had bigger issues going on than DUI. And at that point, he went ahead and arrested him, read him his rights, put him in his car. Trooper Baker brought his car over to behind the suspect vehicle. At that time, we didn't touch anything, didn't touch the money, didn't touch the drugs anymore. Actually this time I notified Sumter County's narcotics via the radio. I called them over the radio, and they had 2 units that were on duty. And they responded, actually 3 of them responded out. And we sat there, kind of went back and forth. I offered them the case, told them, I said, hey, this is a local guy, he's got drugs, large sum of money, y'all can work this better than we can. And he made some phone calls and then told me that they couldn't take it.
Who's he?
Deputy Graham. Simeon Graham.
Do you by chance know how to spell his first name?
I don't. I know it's S-E-Y, I think.
So Simeon Graham was one of the Sumter County narcotics?
He is. He would have been the lead guy, the more senior guy. The other 2 were fairly new.
Do you know who the other 2 were?
I do. They were Brooke Bird, female, and Jeremy Shirley.
All right.
So after talking with them, they wanted to take it. I think they called their higher ups. They didn't want to mess with it. So that's when I started making my chain of command notifications. The on-call lieutenant was Lieutenant T. Alford, Teresa Alford. That is who I called. That is A-L-F-O-R-D.
Okay.
Called her, spoke with her, told her what we had, and she said I brought up the DEA. I said, do we have any contacts with the DEA through our criminal interdiction guys? So she started making phone calls with that, and then I got a few phone calls from one of our CIU guys, and then Corporal Nix called me, and he told me, he said, just gather the money up, transport it from that location to your office, that I was en route to your office to take possession of.
So Lieutenant Alford brought up notifying DEA?
I brought it up to her.
Okay.
Yeah, just honestly, just trying, because I know the DEA, I've worked with them before, and they'll come out and seize everything, take care of the whole case, and be done with it.
And she made phone calls?
She did, yep, and also sent me numbers of people to call. I can't remember who they were, but I know everybody I tried calling wouldn't answer. I actually contacted a captain with Clarendon's narcotics unit.
And who's that?
Matt Kennedy. So I called him just to see if he had a contact that he knew that I could call that night, and the one that he gave me didn't answer. But then I guess the DEA got back in touch with Highway Patrol, my command staff, because they took the case. They just said they would just get the evidence from CEF.
And CEF means what?
Central Evidence Facility.
All right.
That's who Matt works for, or Corporal Nix.
All right, so Corporal Nix calls you,
He calls me, yes ma'am.
and then what does he tell you?
He told me to gather up everything in my car and take it to the Post A offices in Sumter.
Okay.
That he'd be en route to it.
You said that's Post A?
Yep, Troop 1, Post A. Do you need the address for that?
If you know it, that'd be great.
It's
Okay.
520 South Pike, Pike, East, in Sumter, 29150.
All right.
So,
So what items did you gather up?
so I gathered drugs, that bag of marijuana edibles, 2 large bags of currency, and he had loose money that was in his center console, a decent amount. Nothing like what was in the bags. I took an evidence bag out of the trunk of my car, on camera. Well, here, let's go. Let's back up a little bit. So, Trooper Baker's car. I'm just trying to so you can look at this on video.
You're fine.
Yeah, Trooper Baker's car was behind the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
He went ahead. I instructed him to go ahead and get this guy to the jail. Go ahead and get him booked in. So as soon as he did that, I went and got my car, and with my in-car camera going. As he's leaving, I pull my car in. That way, camera's always on the car.
All right, so after Baker left, you pulled up behind
My
the suspect.
camera's activated with everything going. So that's when we loaded the evidence. So all of that was on camera.
Okay.
I took the money out the center console, stuck in a sealed evidence bag, sealed it, and all of that went in my rear driver's passenger seat. I'm sorry, rear driver's seat, like behind the driver's seat. And I did have my camera, we have in-car cameras, I had that activated too, the entirety.
All right, so the edibles, what kind of bag were they in?
They were in a big plastic bag, but then they were individually packaged inside of it. It was black packaging. They didn't have any writing on them, no nothing.
The plastic bag that they were inside, what color was that plastic bag?
It was dark colored, I think.
Okay. All right, and then you said you had 2 large bags of money.
Mm-hmm.
One bag was in you said a Mario Kart bag.
Like a book bag.
Okay.
It looked like a book bag, like a child's book bag.
All right, and then you said the first bag of money you grabbed.
So best way to describe that is a to-go bag from Olive Garden. You know, the big brown kind of rectangular bags.
Right. Did it have Olive Garden on it, or is that just?
No, it didn't. I was just using that. That's the first thing that popped in mind when the lieutenant asked me what kind of bag it was when she was writing down details.
So it was a brown paper bag.
Brown paper bag.
Okay. All right. So you took the drugs, the 2 large bags of money. You took the Mario Kart bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the loose currency you found in the center console, you already bagged that up and put it in an evidence bag and sealed it.
Sealed it, and it went in the back of my car.
Okay. So then you leave from your checkpoint?
Leave from the
Where do
checkpoint.
you go?
So I notify dispatch that I'm leaving, give them my mileage, I transport the money. Do you need a turn by turn?
No, just you left. Okay. You left from your checkpoint and you went where?
Went to the Post A office. Straight to the Post A office without stopping.
All right. When you get to Post A office, who's there?
Nobody's there. I'm the first one to get there. As soon as I get there, I take all the money, all the evidence, and I get straight inside. And then Corporal Nix arrived a short time later. I don't know an exact time, but it wasn't long at all.
So you grabbed all the items that you had loaded up?
Well,
drugs, 2 bags, and at least you thought. We'll get there. Okay. So you take it all inside.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do with it once you got inside?
Sat it on the kiosk. So we have our office is pretty big, and it has a big kiosk. It has files and has a little countertop. sat it right there.
Alright, and then Corporal Nix gets there?
Yep, he
Was
walked.
Corporal Nix the first person to get there?
Yes,
Alright,
right after me.
alright, so, continue.
So as soon as Corporal Nix gets there, then we start kind of going through the money, looking through it, just kind of talking about what all we had, some details and stuff of it. It wasn't long after that, Trooper Baker arrived, and then Reichert pulled up right after that. I mean, they were pretty much back to back. And from that point, we took all of the money. Of course, we had to stack it up and take a picture.
Okay,
Okay, had to take a little trophy picture.
who took the picture?
I took one, and I think the boys took one too.
Who?
My troopers.
Oh, you said the boys, is that what you said?
Yeah,
Okay.
my guys. And because I've actually still got the picture.
Okay,
So took that picture. As soon as that was done, then we got to work. We separated all the money because it was in like stacks, but the top, like, it wasn't all the same denomination. It was hundreds and some 50s, 20s, ones. So we started going through everything, all the stacks of money that were rubber band, and separating hundreds to 50s. That took a good while to get all that done. Then so Nix told us, he said we needed to count it first, then he was going to do the second count on it to confirm everything. So we started counting, me, Reichert, and Baker. I'm sorry.
it's okay.
We did the first count of it, for like when we did it all together. So, like, I can't remember who did what, but let's say I took ones, I counted out all the ones, how many bills there were, wrote it on a sticky note, put it to the side. Took all the 50s, wrote it on a sticky note, put it to the side. As we got done with it, Corporal Nix would take it and just verify it. The 20s was the last thing that we did. There was quite a bit. The majority of this money was 20s. I think it came out to be over $80,000 in 20s. So we had a huge stack of it, so we separated the stack into three parts. So me, Reichert, and Baker, we would take the 20s and stack them, count them in 50, like 50 $20 bills, that's $1,000. We'd walk around the other side of the kiosk, put a stack on the table. And so we just lined that entire table up. We actually ran out of room and went to another table, and every one of them was 50, so that way when we got done, we could go and count how many stacks we had, and that would tell us the total amount.
When you stacked them in 50s, was it just one person that counted, okay, hey, there's 50? And then, so.
All three of us were stacking them in 50s.
Alright, so your stacks of 50, did Baker and Reichert come back behind you and verify they were 50s?
No, ma'am.
And then when I say 50s, 50 count.
50 count,
Yeah.
yes ma'am, I got you.
So no one checked whether or not those were accurate 50,
No ma'am.
okay? Alright, so once y'all get the,
And I told them, now, I would bet my life, I know all the stacks that I did were 50 because I know how serious this is, and I told both of them, because I know they never really dealt with this stuff, I said, if you're not sure on your stack of 50, I said, recount it again. They would verify that, how strict I was, telling them to make sure it's accurate. And I even looked at them and said, your job depends on it. Are you sure these stacks are 50? Both of them said yes.
and that's Baker and Reichert,
Baker and Reichert.
okay?
So after that, we tallied up everything, how many 20s we had. I came up with a number on my tally sheet, and that's when Nix went back through and counted everything, and we agreed on a number. I think the initial number that he did was off from ours, because I don't think he counted, I don't think he saw the table behind him. Because you had the big kiosk right there in the middle, then we got some computer tables actually about the size of this, but it doesn't have computers on it. And we put our excess over there, so I think when he went back and counted that, we all came up with that 110 and some change.
Was there any other point that y'all had counted and the numbers were not accurate? Was that the only time that y'all counted?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
nothing was?
Yeah.
And then once Nix went back and counted the excess that was on the other table.
I guess that's what he was did at this time. So as soon as I finished and we got all of that tallied up and I got my tally stuff done, I mean, he was way behind us because he was one person doing it and we were 3 people doing it. So we got through our first count a lot faster than he could. So as soon as that happened, I went and sat at the desk with Baker and helped him with his report. I actually wrote a lot of the narrative in that report because it was the DUI report, seizure, drugs, everything. So I was sitting with him getting all that straight while Nix was getting his final count. So I really wasn't paying too much attention to what Nix was doing at the time, you know, when he was counting. We were just all trying to be very quiet so we didn't mess up a count.
When y'all were counting the 20s, you already said that nobody went back behind and counted the 50 stacks.
No, ma'am.
Do you remember what your final total of $20 bills were?
I don't.
Okay.
I know it was over $80,000 in 20s. I do remember that, if I'm not mistaken, but I'd have to look back at my tally sheet to get that.
That's okay. So as you're going through, you're counting these bills. The numbers that you tallied up on your sheet, were those numbers that you specifically counted yourself, or were those just numbers specifically that were given to you by the troopers?
That was collectively.
Okay.
Yep. On our tally sheet. We all 3 counted that sum of money.
But nobody did a recount behind anybody. All right, so once you finished filling out, you helped Baker with the report. What else did you do?
So as soon as, so that report was a big deal because everything's electronic now. We don't do chain of custodies like handwritten anymore, so that had to be done before Matt or any of us could leave. So as soon as we got that done, then I called Sergeant DeBose, that's Jennifer Page DeBose. Woke her up because she's the evidence custodian. So I had to get her to, so when we submitted it, transfers it to post-haste evidence, which is she's in control of. Then she had to, I don't know much about the process. I guess she has to release it to CEF or send it to CEF so Matt could get a hold of that chain of custody. I don't know much about that. We just started this stuff.
That's fine. All you know is you call Sergeant Page DeBose.
Sergeant DeBose, yep.
And she's the evidence custodian.
That's right.
Is she the evidence custodian for your troop?
For just my office.
Just your office.
Now, her and the first sergeant, we have 2 at each office, but she's primary.
All right. So once she had everything handled on her end.
And hers was just a click of a mouse.
Okay. And then what'd you do?
We sat there, we talked for a few minutes or whatever while Matt was loading up the money, and we all left.
All right. So how did Matt load up the money? Did he put it in any kind of bags?
I know he put it, because I had initially thrown that brown bag away that it came in, and he didn't really have bags big enough for it to go in. I remember him saying that. So we grabbed that bag out of the trash can. I know he put it back in that, but I can't remember if he put it in. I think he did put it in evidence bags. I'm pretty sure he did put it in evidence bags, but he used that brown bag to kind of tote it on.
All right. So what? Do you remember seeing him put it in evidence bags, or do you just think he put it in evidence bags? And if you don't remember, you don't remember.
I remember him having evidence bags, and I remember him asking me if I had big evidence bags, because I know he didn't have anything big enough, like huge ones. So I looked in the kiosk where we keep them and showed him. I said, "This is the biggest we got," and that's all he had. So
did you give him any of those evidence bags?
No,
he already had some.
He already had some identical to it. So he may have packed it all, and I think he did. I'm pretty sure he just did a bunch of small ones. I'm almost positive he did.
Do you recall if he took photographs of the bags of evidence?
I don't remember.
But you do remember he put the money that you had brought in and counted out into that brown paper to-go bag.
Yeah, I know he used that. And I am 99% sure that he put it in evidence bags. He was just looking for a bigger one, that way he could stick it all in there, instead of using separate ones.
Alright, so what happened after that?
Well, a little bit ahead of that, to get back to the drugs. The drugs were put. He didn't take those. They stayed at our office. They were put in the evidence locker.
Okay.
Like I said, after that was all over, we talked for a few minutes or whatever. We were all tired, about to fall asleep. I was supposed to get off at midnight. I was working a split shift, and this was early in the morning.
What's your split shift? What hours does that
12 to 12. I was doing a background investigation on a new hire, so they moved me from 6 to 6 to 12 to 12, so I could be out during the daytime to make phone calls to employers and stuff.
Right.
But like I said, we talked for a minute and we all cleared up. I'm pretty sure Baker and Reichard left right with us too.
Alright, so next, Matthew took the.
So I was scared. The following day, I called my stepdad, who's the sheriff of Clarendon County. I always call him for advice and stuff, and we sat there and talked about it, and he told me, he said, just call Paige, get this straight, But it was later on that evening when I talked to him, and so I said, well, I'm working tomorrow. I said, I'll go in before work, and I'm gonna call Paige and go by and see her and figure out what the best way to get this turned in with the least amount of damage to me, and I'll try to get this figured out. Well, didn't have time because this would be the 3rd. That morning, I got up, had to go do a small job. I have a plumbing and home repair business. I'm a contractor. So I had to run into town, take care of something. It took about 30 minutes. Then I was gonna go home and go back to sleep. Well, anyway, I was on my way home that morning. Nick's called me, and he told me that they were missing $3,000 or over $3,000 from the final count. Or they took the money to the bank, and the bank says it was only like 107, something like that, and we counted like 110. So I said, dude, I don't have a clue what's going on with that. I said, but I just went ahead and told him then. I said, listen, I found an evidence bag of money in my car. I said, it's not $3,000. I said, so it has, and it wasn't even counted. This fell in between the briefcase and my back seat. I said, so it has nothing to do with the missing money. I said, but tell me what I need to do to get this turned into evidence. Nick's told me then that I needed to contact my chain of command, which I did. I called Sergeant DeBose. Then I called Lieutenant Dan back, and
Dan back?
D-A-N-B-A-C-K.
Do you know Lieutenant Dan back's first name?
Mark.
Okay.
Yep. So then I called them. I was already getting dressed because Matt told me, he said, just come on up to Central Evidence. And so I was en route to Central Evidence, went ahead and got dressed because I had to work that night anyway. And spoke with Dan back and all them. I got to Central Evidence, talked with Matt. Matt told me that I needed to go to Troop 1 headquarters and turn the evidence in over there. So I went over there, turned the evidence into Lieutenant Dan back and Captain Chris Shelton, S-H-E-L-T-O-M.
Okay.
They counted it. It came up to be over $800.
Dan back and Shelton counted the money?
They did, in front of me. It was $894. After that, we honestly sat around and waited a while, and then Major Patterson, that's Everett Patterson, showed up and gave Lieutenant Shelton, or Captain Shelton, a piece of paper, and he read it to me and notified me that I was suspended. And Dan back took me home.
You said Chris Shelton's the major?
Chris Shelton is the captain.
Captain.
The major is Everett Patterson, E-V-E-R-I-C-K, Patterson.
And so Shelton's the one that reviewed the paperwork with you and told you?
Shelton and Dan back. Well, no, the suspension, I guess Patterson gave it to Shelton. Shelton read it to me since he's my captain.
And what did your suspension include?
It was suspended until further notice.
Are you getting paid?
No, I'm not. And I lose everything on the 16th.
What do you mean you lose everything on the 16th?
My insurance. I'm hoping that they'll let me pay it, just pay it fully myself.
And why are you so concerned about losing your insurance on the 16th?
I'm having a baby a few days after that. My wife is like 38 and a half, almost 39 weeks pregnant.
All right. And I noticed you were kind of looking at something over there. What is that you have?
Well, I didn't refer to this any while I was answering your questions. The only thing I referred to was that money amount, but this is a timeline that I typed up this weekend just to make it easier for you.
Okay.
Pretty much what we just ran through, everything that we just ran through is verbatim on this. That is everything that happened, every name, every person I talked to.
Is that my copy?
That is your copy.
How many sheets are there? One or two?
Two.
Okay. If you would, at the bottom right, if you would just sign and date that you're giving me those copies.
Okay.
Please. All right. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through everything that we just discussed, and then we'll get to the timeline, okay? Just so I make sure I don't have any questions on there. Y'all are conducting a license checkpoint
Safety checkpoint.
at Pearson and Old Stone in Sumter.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember the day?
That was the 29th. It was before midnight, so it was still the 29th.
Okay.
That Thursday.
It was you, Trooper Will Baker,
Mm-hmm.
Trooper Zach Reichard.
Mm-hmm.
Were there any other individuals there?
No, ma'am.
Any deputies?
Nothing.
Okay.
Just us.
Just you three?
Just us three.
Okay. Vehicle came through, you actually made contact
I
with this
did.
vehicle. Do you remember what kind of vehicle it was? If not, it's no big deal.
It was small. It was a small. I know it was a stick shift.
Okay.
I do remember that. Volvo, Audi,
Okay.
something like that. It wasn't an American car.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You made contact with the driver, and you remembered his name, Mr. Holliday.
Yep, Mr. Holliday.
Has suspicions of he was DUI. You flashed your light to Trooper Will Baker to
Mhm.
kind of indicate to him, hey, step over here.
Step over.
You explained to him you smell alcohol. You had Mr. Holliday step out of the vehicle,
Mhm.
and then Trooper Baker began doing standard field sobriety tests.
He did.
As he was doing this field sobriety test, you asked Mr. Holliday if it was okay for you to move his vehicle
Out of the
out of the
roadway.
roadway.
Mhm.
You made note that he had a cup in his lap
Yep.
when you made contact with him.
He sure did.
What kind of cup was that?
It was a solo cup, and it was given to Trooper Baker,
All
if
right.
I'm not mistaken.
Who was it given to Trooper Baker by?
I think I may have. I'm pretty sure I did, because he had it in his lap. I noticed as he was pulling up, he sat it in the floorboard right there. I'm almost positive I gave it to Baker so he could put it on camera.
Did you ask Mr. Holliday what was in his cup?
I did.
Did you look inside the cup?
It had a brown substance.
Okay.
I didn't taste test.
Right. So you just remember he did have a cup and it was a brown
It
substance.
smelled strongly of alcoholic beverage.
Okay. You get inside the vehicle and you move the vehicle to the shoulder of the road.
Mhm.
You said in plain view you saw a dark colored plastic bag
Mhm.
that you could see the contents of that bag. You didn't have to manipulate the bag in any way, shape, or form.
No.
There were plastic
I did open it a little. I mean, I could see it.
Once you saw what
And
was
once I saw
inside.
it, oh yeah, I opened it a little bit more because it was loosely tied at the top. But you know, a grocery bag when they're just looped, you can
Right.
see everything in them.
You said that they were edibles. Can you describe to me the edibles?
Yes, they look like gummy worms, and I don't know what they're called, but they look like little flat sticks that you eat,
Okay.
like little gummy sticks.
Do you know how many bags were there?
I don't recall. That was a lot.
All right, and what made you think it was illegal to have those?
Just through my past training, it's becoming more popular and popular to have THC edibles. A lot of the ones that we see that are really just CBD edibles and stuff that really aren't illegal, they have writing all over them, really to appeal to the younger crowd and stuff. These were black. They were black packaging. The very front of them was just a clear area so you could see what was inside of them. No writing, no nothing on them.
All right. So you move the vehicle over to the side, and you kind of look over your shoulder, and you see a Mario Kart book bag.
Well, this was after I gotten out of the vehicle.
Okay.
So saw all this. Vehicle's kind of tight. I wasn't spending too much
Right.
in it. So saw that right there. As soon as I parked, put the emergency brake on. As I'm getting out, I'm kind of sitting with my hands on the center console, grabbing this, grabbing the drugs, and I do glance in the back seat and I see 2 big bags. I'm like, got more dope.
Right. So then you open the back door,
And boom,
and the first bag you grab is the
brown bag,
brown paper bag,
brown paper bag.
and you notice there were a large amount of currency inside.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you grab the Mario Kart book bag.
Mhm.
You said it looked like a child's book bag,
Like
right?
kids, but it was a child's book bag.
And it was actually unzipped.
The top was unzipped.
And you saw there was a large amount of currency in there as
Yes,
well.
ma'am.
You told Baker over the radio,
I
or
did.
just verbally?
No, he's wearing an earpiece, so I knew that this guy wouldn't hear it and freak out. I told him over the radio to 1067.
Okay. Obviously, you got with Baker to kind of let him know, hey, this is why.
After he put him in cuffs, yeah.
So, why was he placed under arrest?
So at that point, he was going to jail for DUI, but they hadn't made it to that point for the arrest for that. But with me seeing the drugs and the amount of currency and my prior knowledge of distribution, PWID, and with having that amount of currency, it was definite he was going to jail. He was going to at least be charged with it.
So, were cuffs initially placed on him for possession with intent to distribute, or was it for DUI?
We'll say it's about the same time.
Okay.
Because I mean,
And that's just for clarity purposes.
yeah, because
you know?
I talked with Trooper Baker. I said, hey, you know, after it was all kind of done, I said, hey, did you get? Because I didn't pay attention to him. I said, did you get through enough tests, you know, to get the DUI? And he said, yeah, we didn't quite finish everything, but he's definitely impaired.
All right.
So
Okay, so he's placed under arrest. Trooper Baker first pulls his vehicle up behind
yes,
the suspect's vehicle.
with the suspect in this passenger seat.
Okay. And then he decides to transport the individual.
I advised him to go ahead and clear and go to the jail. And this is after Sumter County's arrived. Sumter
Okay.
County's already there. We talk, you know, go through all that. Sumter County even talks to the suspect a little bit. I even talked to him a little bit. He'd already been read his rights. Because initially he told me he didn't want to talk to me. And I said, fine. I didn't ask him any other questions. And then later on he wanted to talk because he actually made a comment. I asked him, I said, are you in the game? You know, what's the deal with this money? And I said, I know what these edibles are. He said, I'm in it a little bit, you know, in the game a little bit, but not too big. I said, well, how much money is it? Because when I told the county and told command when I made notification, I said, it's probably $200,000+. Because I didn't see all the 20s and 1s and small bills. All I saw was stacks of hundreds
Right.
from what I thought. And he told me, he said there's probably only 70, maybe $80,000 there. So he didn't make that comment. But that's about all the talking I did to him. I didn't talk to him much. He kept making a statement to me like his name can't get out. And I said, I don't have any control over that. I said, you got to go to jail tonight.
Right.
So, but I didn't talk to him much. Like I said, the narcotics guys from Sumter spoke to him a little bit, but I wasn't over there for that.
That's okay. Yeah, whatever you can attest to.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sumter guys, you talked to him, you Mirandized him. He said he didn't want.
Trooper Baker Mirandized him.
Okay, Trooper Baker Mirandized him. He said he didn't want to talk. Later on, the Sumter guys talked to him, and he made the statement that he suspected there was probably $70,000 to $80,000 there. Trooper Baker was then informed, hey, go on and transfer him to the jail, put him on the
Yep.
breathalyzer.
Get him on the DA.
You pulled your vehicle up behind the suspect's vehicle
As soon as he's
with your
looking.
camera running
Yep.
inside your vehicle. What was Trooper Riker doing?
Trooper Riker, I was just kind of standing around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did y'all call a tow truck for Mr.
So,
Holliday's vehicle?
Trooper Riker, when I gathered all the money and stuff, and I did photograph, so I did take pictures of the money and everything in the car before I took it.
On scene?
On scene, yes ma'am. So I did leave that out, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Where are those photographs at now?
They were on my work phone, but I've sent them to this phone also.
Alright.
Yep, I can get you those pictures.
So those were prior to you removing anything from the vehicle, you took pictures?
Prior to me collecting it, because you know when I first searched it, I put the evidence on, I'm pretty sure the edibles I put on the roof, and the money I put on the trunk deck. So once I got to that point, I seized everything. You know, like I said, hoping Sumter County would take it. I didn't want to mess, if they wanted to take it, I didn't want to do anything with their evidence.
So you didn't take pictures of where the gummies were or where the money was inside the vehicle. You just took a picture of it once you had placed it on the exterior of the vehicle.
I don't remember.
That's all right.
We can verify
yeah,
that.
we'll check that. All right, so photographs were taken. Riker stays with the vehicle for the tow truck.
Yep.
And then you notified Lieutenant Teresa Alford.
Mm-hmm.
Started talking to her. You brought, hey, because there's a large amount of money here, suspected to be close to 200,000.
I told them 200 or better.
You indicated, hey, might want to call DEA. Phone call started rolling. Captain Matthew Kennedy, did you talk to him?
I talked to him on the phone. I did. I called him on the phone because, see, he has nothing to do with the case. He's just a good friend of mine that has been in this for a long time.
And he's with Clarendon, right?
He's with Clarendon. And so I called him just to see if he had some friends, some contacts with the DEA that he could put me in touch with.
Was he able to put you in contact? Nobody
answered the phone. They were in the middle of another seizure. I found out later they were in the middle of another seizure. That's why they couldn't respond that night.
All right. So then later you get a call from Corporal Nix, Matthew Nix.
Like almost like while I was on scene immediately.
So while you're still out there at Pearson and Old Stone.
That's right.
He tells you gather up your things, meet me at Post A, and that's at the Sumter office, 520 South Pike East, right? All right. So you place everything in your vehicle. You said you had found some money in the center console.
Yep.
Did Mr. Holliday have any money on him?
He did.
All right. What happened to the money that was on Mr. Holliday?
I didn't tell you that. All right. So, did I?
No.
Yes, I'm there. So anyway, when I was en route to the Sumter office with the money, Trooper Baker called me. He was already at the jail. He said, "Hey, Corporal, he's got a good sum of money on his person. What do I do with it?" I advised him to seize it. I said, go to your car, get an evidence bag, and go back in the jail, place it in a sealed evidence bag in the jail, and then make sure your camera's running, call out your mileage. When you leave the jail, come straight to the office. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry I left that out.
That's why we like to go over things,
Gotcha.
to make sure. And obviously,
Yes,
it'll probably come in that statement, but I just want to make sure for my notes purposes, if we've got everything we need. So he makes that phone call, tells you, hey, found money. You tell him to put it in the evidence bag, seal it. You know, make sure on your camera, give your mileage, things of that nature.
And that conversation is actually recorded. So I was in my car driving down the road while I was having a conversation with him.
Okay.
So
you kept your in-car camera running from the time you left the checkpoint location until you arrived to the post.
Right.
When did you turn your car camera off?
When my car turned off. I actually never deactivated it. Honestly, I wasn't thinking, hindsight, I should have left it on the whole time, left my car running, but just out of habit, as soon as I pulled up, cut my car off, went and started gathering money, not thinking, and it cut off.
Okay.
So it turns off when the car's cut off.
Does it immediately turn off when the car turns off, or is there maybe a 30 second,
I don't think,
60 second?
I really don't know. I know it has to, it doesn't just bam, cut off. It's
Right.
kind of like a computer, it slowly shuts off.
Okay.
So it may have recorded me taking the money in.
Alright, so once you got there, you removed the drugs and 2 large bags of currency. 2 large bags being the brown paper bag and the Mario Kart
Yes,
bag.
ma'am.
You thought that you had also grabbed the evidence bag.
I didn't even.
Was that evidence bag clear?
It's just a evidence bag. That's writing on it, but it is clear. Yes,
You
ma'am.
can see what's inside
You
of
can
it,
see
right?
what's inside.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's plastic.
It's plastic.
Okay. You thought you grabbed that too. Alright. Once you get inside,
I honestly, I didn't even think about it, you know, at that point, because I just grabbed everything that was sitting in my seat, because initially it was in my seat, and I guess it slid.
back seat behind you,
Back
right?
seat behind me, I guess it slid forward on top of my briefcase and down in front of it.
So was it underneath your seat when you found it on Sunday?
No.
I know we're getting a little ahead, but I'm just curious.
Back seat, briefcase, there's about that big of a gap. It slid.
So it slid closer to the seat versus slide to you. Did you initial down at the bottom like that, or no?
Not the first one, because that was just for us to keep track of the first count. Matt, that was the official one, the one that I actually signed.
Okay.
Matt was right about the chair,
Yeah.
because mine's gonna be circled. Yep, that's me.
Okay.
And that may have been the first count sheet right there. I may have signed it, because Nix was kind of walking me through. I've never done it before, so Nix was kind of walking me through what we need to do, since it didn't have a signature place on it.
Okay.
But I do remember the final count, he and I both initialed it. I know that for a fact.
And he being who? Nix?
Corporal
and you?
Nix, Matt
Okay.
Nix, yes.
Just wanna make sure we don't get confused on who the he's are.
I got you.
Okay, so, do your counts, finally get everything on the same page, everybody's numbers are consistent. Did you place the drugs in the evidence locker?
No,
Who
Trooper
called?
Baker did.
Okay. Did you call Sergeant Page
I did.
DeVos? Told Sergeant DeVos, hey, listen, we got all our paperwork completed. We need you to go into the system to show that it's been dropped into evidence and is gonna be transported to CEF.
Yeah, that she needs to accept it in the post A's digitally and then send it to, or release it, I guess, to CEF.
Okay. Placed everything inside of that brown paper bag,
I know he used it. I'm pretty sure if
even the Mario bag?
he didn't use that, that stayed at the office.
Okay.
That's still at the office.
Alright, so the Mario Kart book bag was placed into evidence?
Mm-mm.
So where's the Mario Kart book bag?
It was at the office. I know we joked around about about Baker's kid using it to go to school, but
So
it was clean. There was nothing in it.
that
And
night y'all left, where did you last put the Mario Kart book
it
bag?
was sitting on one of the tables, one of the kiosk tables. I remember seeing it. I didn't mess with the little book bag.
So we don't know where that book
I
bag
have no
is now.
clue. Cause
Okay.
see, we're not allowed to put that kind of stuff. They tell us, you know, that stuff like that, it has to go in evidence, all evidence has to go in evidence bags, and we weren't using that book bag as evidence at the time. I mean, I didn't think about it.
Right. Okay, so that gets left behind. But the brown paper bag, money was placed in it, you
Yes,
believe, cause
I-
it was thrown in the trash can.
I
to
threw it in
begin
the
with.
trash. I know for a fact that he asked me where that big brown bag was. I said, in the trash can, he is in Corporal Nix. So it's in the trash can, we got it out, opened it back up, and I know he used it to put the money in. 90% sure he put evidence bags with the money in the brown bag. And like I said, I wasn't really paying 100% attention to him. I was dealing with
Right.
that report.
What time do you think you left the office to go home?
Oh, I have no clue.
Early morning hours?
Yes, I was way past due.
Was it
believe.
past midnight?
Yes, very much so.
Alright. Sunday,
Sunday.
you go to your patrol vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of vehicle do you have?
A Dodge Charger,
Marked.
semi-marked.
And what do you mean semi-marked?
I don't have a supervisor, I don't have a light bar. Just stripes on the side.
Alright. Going out there, check your briefcase in the back seat. Looking for a paper for one of your specific skills recertifications or seeing it lapse.
Seeing when it lapsed, that's right. I was trying to figure out if my specific skills and if they did it at the same time.
Right.
Because I've got emails between me and the lieutenant, we're trying to figure it out. And I told, because one's every 2 and one's every like 4 years. So I've got to go up to the academy and instruct.
Right, to keep your certification.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I was trying to figure that out. My CADIS wasn't working, so I couldn't get on there and look. So I said, hell, I'm sorry. So I print out, I keep all my certificates in the briefcase for court, you know, so I can present them as evidence. So I said, let me go out here and see if I printed this one out. So that's what I was looking for.
So you go to move your briefcase and you realize, oh boy, there's a clear evidence bag that is sealed
Let's see.
with money in it.
Yep.
And this is about 10:30 at night.
Mm-hmm.
You said you had panic. You panicked, immediately panicked.
I about threw up in my back seat.
And about threw up
Yeah.
because you know how serious, you mentioned OPR, and for the record, will you say who OPR is?
Office of Professional Responsibility.
Okay. You have a fear because they always focus on mishandling of evidence.
And I didn't want to get demoted. That's all I can think about is they demote me over something. And
You're a corporal, right?
I am, and it's my fault. I should have been more thorough, and I'll take that hit. That's on me. But just panicked and just scared.
The following day, you called your stepdad, who's a sheriff of Clarendon County, and for the record, will you state his name?
Tim Baxley.
And the sheriff told you, and he's your stepdad, told you, hey, just notify your supervisor.
Yep. No, he, in his exact words, hey, call Paige.
Mhm.
Paige will know what to do. Paige will be able to
Right.
get you on track.
You did not call Paige.
It was later that night. I know I don't like bothering her after she gets off because she's busy, she's working, she does a lot going on when she gets off. And I said, you know what, I'll talk to her tomorrow. I'll go into work early and I'll deal with it then.
So Monday rolls around, you still didn't call
No,
Paige.
this was Monday.
Okay, so it was Monday night?
Yes. No,
When you talked to your...
It was Monday evening. Yep, when I talked to him. So found money on a Sunday.
Following day you talked
Stewed
to
on that thing all day long. Scared to death. Called him because he's always got a good answer for me.
Alright,
When
so
he
Monday you didn't call her.
I didn't call her. I was going to call her. I was actually going to call her that next morning because I know she comes into work at 10. And so I was going to call her, but I got that phone call from Corporal Nix before then.
And that was on the 3rd?
3rd. Yes, ma'am.
So you got notified by Nix prior to being able to call Paige?
Call Paige.
Sergeant Babette.
Sergeant. Horrible timing.
Nix tells you, hey, listen, missing over $3,000.
No. Asked me if I had any idea why we're missing $3,000, and I was kind of at a loss. I said, dude, I have no clue. I said, our accounts were right. You know, that's what we collectively came up with. That's what we all agreed on. We signed. I said, I have no clue what happened to it.
The money that Baker brought from Sumter Jail
Mm-hmm.
to Post A, was that money included in that
Yes.
large currency count that y'all did?
Yes, when he walked in, he sat it straight on top.
What he sit straight on top? The money?
The
Or
evidence,
evidence.
and sealed evidence bag containing the currency, he put it right there with it.
Okay.
Yep.
On that sealed evidence bag from the jail to Post A, do you remember seeing any writing on that sealed evidence bag? Okay. So that money that was found on Mr. Holliday was included into
Yes, it
this
was.
count? Alright. So Nick, you and Nix are talking, you know, you're like, I don't know. Then you say, hey, listen, by the way,
I've got this going on.
I did find some money in my backseat,
Yeah, but
sealed evidence
it's
bag.
not a part of that total tally, so it has nothing to do with this missing $3,000.
And Nix told you to notify chain of command.
Yep.
You talked to Lieutenant Danback,
I talked to Paige first,
Page, and then Danback,
Yep.
right?
and then back.
So come on up here to CEF and let's get this thing situated.
Yep.
Danback and Shelton counted the money and it was $894.
$894.
And then Major Everett Patterson did some paperwork up on you.
Yep.
Provided to Chris Shelton and he read you were suspended.
Yep.
Did they tell you why you were being suspended?
And just pending an investigation.
Did you have any idea it was for the miscount or was it for the money that was found in the backseat?
Honestly, I really, it was all just like a punch in the chest with everything. I figured it was for the missing $3,000 because mishandling of evidence, they wouldn't have, I don't feel like they would have suspended me on the spot without pay. I mean, just in my opinion. And, you know, kind of talking and gathering with the lieutenant and the captain there, you know, because, I mean, I know them well. You know, I asked them, I said, you know, guys, what's the worst that's going to happen here? And none of them made any insight that I'm fixing to get suspended.
Right.
So I'm guessing the suspension without pay is until we get this resolved.
All right. Instead of calling your stepdad, why didn't you call Paige on Monday?
I don't know. Just freaked out. Just dumb on my part. Scared to death.
Because now it looks like,
Yeah, I
oh
know.
look, hey look, Nick's
Oh,
brings it to
God.
your attention, and you're like, oh yeah, by the way, Sunday night I found, you know, and here we are 2 days later. So that's where there's a lot of concerns there.
There is.
So based off of this, we haven't been over your type statement yet. Did you take any of that money? Out of that seizure that y'all had?
Absolutely.
From the
not.
time you left that checkpoint to the time you went to post A, and from the time you were at post A by yourself, did you take any of that money?
No, ma'am.
Do you think anybody else had the opportunity to take any
Absolutely
money?
not. And one thing I will say, because I've been thinking of 100 different ways of how this could have happened. We were all together. I never even walked to my private, personal office the entire time we were there. Never left the room. Nobody left. We all sat in the common area, I guess you could call it, the entire time. The amount of missing money, and I know it's only in 20s, because they did tell me all the other denominations were correct. It was only 20s. That amount, that's over 150 bills. That's thick. Our uniforms are tight. I mean, I can barely put keys in my pocket in my uniform. There's no fitting a cell phone in your pocket, no nothing. It would have been very, very obvious if anybody would have grabbed a couple of 3 stacks or more than 3 stacks, stuffed it in their pockets.
So what do you think happened to the money?
I have no clue.
Do you think it's possible that y'all did not count the money correctly?
I think we should have done a much better job of counting.
Do you think it's possible anybody took the money? Let me just ask that for clarification.
There's no way.
Okay.
I mean, everybody that I have dealings with, I'll tell you, Matt, I'd bet my job on him. He wouldn't take a penny. My 2 boys that were with us, Baker and Riker, they wouldn't take a penny. I know I don't need it. I mean, not just saying. I mean, I work hard. I have a plumbing business that I make triple what I make with highway patrol. I mean, I just don't need. I've got almost 11 years in. I wouldn't need that. Matt's he's got a ton of time. He's got more time than I do. He did my background investigation back when I started.
Yeah.
I mean, he and I mean, we're not. I consider him a dear friend. I mean, we don't hang out socially. I only see him when we're in uniform. But I mean, he's a great guy. I trust him with my life. I trust him with that money, and the state should too. I mean, it's got to be a miscount.
Would you be willing to do a polygraph?
Absolutely.
Do you have any medical conditions that would potentially enable you?
So I'm gonna say no, but I do have heart issues.
Okay.
My heart, I have an irregular heartbeat, and my heart goes into AFib, and that's documented over the past couple of years from stress and lack of sleep from this wonderful job.
When you were hired at Highway Patrol, did you take a polygraph?
I did.
When you were hired, did you have these heart
I
issues?
did not
So you've established these heart issues.
become a training officer with Highway Patrol.
Yeah.
Come on.
But you said it is medically documented.
Yes, ma'am. I'll give you my cardiologist's name.
Because we'll probably have to get a medical waiver
Okay.
for you to
I mean,
get to
it's
a
not,
doctor?
I mean, I'd sign a waiver saying it's not gonna kill me. My heart, just like even now, no stress, no nothing, it could skip a beat. And that's something that's come on with lack of sleep, stress. I noticed it the first time I was training somebody that was kind of tough to train. And woke up one morning, had no energy, no nothing. And I run often. Cardio's great. I couldn't hardly walk to my patrol car without being out of breath.
Mm-hmm.
And so a friend of mine, we ate, that was end of one week. That weekend we went and ate with a friend of ours, and she's a nurse. So I was sitting there talking with her about it. She handed me her Apple Watch. No lie. Sitting there in the restaurant. We were at a place down at the lake, right outside of Manning. Put it on. She held up her phone and it was blinking red. Go to an emergency room. So that was the first time it happened. And it was bad. My heart rate was like 170. My resting heart rate. I thought I was having a heart attack.
I'm sure.
So, and it just did it again a couple of months ago. I'm a driving instructor for patrol, and I wasn't really, to me that's not stressful. To me that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But me and my buddy, we went on the track. We did a few students. A couple of the cars were running hot. We had to go down to a pond and fill up water in a bucket. And so anyway, I said, I'll carry it. So I mean, it was heavy. I carried it back up, and I noticed halfway there I was just out of breath, couldn't do anything. And by that time I knew enough about it. I felt my heart rate. I said, oh hell, I'm back in AFib. It wasn't a bad one. My heart rate was on like 110 then, but.
So you've since gone to a cardiologist?
Oh, I have had everything done. They can't find anything. They say stress, lack of sleep, and not drinking enough water.
Who is your cardiologist?
Brian Wall. The first time it happened, he was here at McLeod. Then he has since transferred or gotten a new job at Lexington Medical Center. That's where my second visit was, where they did all the tests. And that's documented with patrol. I had to take some sick leave with them to go do that.
All right. We're going to try to get you lined up for a polygraph. Okay. And I'll have to check with the polygraphers on the medical waiver just to see about
just like right now.
the AFib.
I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah. I'm going to review your timeline real quick. Okay. Checkpoint Pearson Road, Old Stone Road, Welsh, Reichard, Baker. Make contact Mr. Holliday. Suspected DUI. Corporal Welsh moved Mr. Holliday's vehicle to the shoulder of the roadway while Trooper Baker conducted field sobriety. Searched the vehicle due to an odor of alcohol. You made mention here and marijuana.
Yes.
So when did you recognize there was a smell of marijuana?
When I was driving the car on the side of the road.
Was any marijuana located?
Didn't find any. It smelled like it was burnt marijuana. It wasn't green. He had been smoking in the car.
Had he admitted to smoking in the vehicle or just?
I didn't talk to him.
Okay. You located marijuana edibles in the front passenger seat, and you also located 2 bags sitting on the driver's rear seat that contained a large amount of currency. You radioed Trooper Baker to place Holiday under arrest. Advised under Sheriff's Office Narcotics to possibly come take over the case. Sumter Narcotics responded. Advised they could not take it. Did they tell you why they couldn't take it?
So I know why they wouldn't take it. Honestly, their higher ups must not have wanted the headache, but they told me that their attorney said that a local agency cannot take over a case from a state agency. It cannot go down. As many times as we have done it in the past, with working joint interdictions on the interstate. I mean, I've worked every interdiction there is on 95 over the years. When they told me that, I said, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
I said, y'all just, the guys themselves, they were foaming at the mouth. They wanted it.
Oh, sure.
Because this guy, they knew who this guy was. Both actually Clarendon and Sumter County. This guy's been in the game a long time that I found out since. So, but that blew my mind they wouldn't take it.
Yeah. On here you said you notified your chain of command. Your chain of command would be Sergeant DeVos first, and then Lieutenant Alford?
No. So this was late at night. You call your own supervisor, calls the on-call lieutenant, which is Alford.
All right, so you called Lieutenant Alford. And then you had the conversation about DEA.
Yep. I was trying to find some way that we
Yeah.
didn't have to deal with it.
I'm sure. All right, DEA, Lieutenant calls you back and says DEA will take the case.
She calls me back and she tells me that she's gonna send me some numbers to people that are, I guess, deal with that with our CIU. I know I talked with Shropshire that night, and I tried calling 2 or 3 other different people.
So you did actually talk to somebody?
Well, Shropshire is one of ours.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the CIU guy, and that's all they deal with.
Spell his last name for me.
Shrop, SHROP, Shire, SHIRE.
Okay. Yeah, Matt had mentioned Shropshire, that's why I was a little curious.
Yep.
Cause earlier you said you hadn't talked to anybody, and now you did talk to Shropshire,
I'm sorry,
but he's one of your guys. You
Yeah.
said CIU, what's CIU?
Criminal Interdiction Unit.
Okay. So DA advised says, yeah, they're gonna take it, but they can't respond, they're working on something else right this second.
That's what I found out.
We'll get back up with you.
That's right.
But for the time being, go ahead and page everything up.
No, I was told that Corporal Nix would be contacting me, that we were seizing money and it was going to CEF.
Alright, you get a call from Nix, told you to take the money to Sumter office. Place 1 bag containing drugs and 2 bags containing the currency in the driver's side rear seat, along with a sealed evidence bag that contained currency. That was located in the center console of the vehicle. Went to the Sumter office, activated your in-car camera. You received a phone call from Trooper Baker about the money that was found on Mr. Holliday. You went through the spiel of how to tell him to handle that. Welsh arrived at the office and notified SCHP TCC.
Telecommunications Center.
Okay. And that's
Dispatch.
via the radio.
That's dispatch.
Right.
Yeah.
Gathered the evidence from his vehicle and placed it in the office. Nix arrived a short time after. How long do you think you were at the office by yourself?
Not long. 5-10 minutes, maybe.
Okay.
It wasn't long enough for me to get settled in and get my laptop opened up. My stuff was still all sitting there.
All right. TFC record. TFC, what's that?
Trooper First Class.
Okay.
TPR is Slick Sleeve. He's
Just
a
trooper.
trooper.
All right, they get there. Trooper Baker turned over the seized money. They collected it from the detention center. He turned it over to you, or did he turn it over to Nix?
I guess you can say me. He didn't he just sat it there
Okay.
with all the other money.
Corporal Welsh, Trooper First Class record. Trooper Baker began the initial count of the money and split into denominations. Corporal Nix began the second count of the money when it was finished with the first count. Corporal Welsh and Corporal Nix agreed on the final count and signed the tally sheet. So just for the first count that was made, y'all did not agree. The count was somewhere.
The first total between the first count and the second count, when Nix came up, they didn't match, because when we got done, we just sat our tally sheet over there. Nix got done, he looked at it, he said, hey, these don't match. And I said, well, there's money over there. I said, and I looked at all the boys, I said, are y'all sure that all these stacks are 50?
How many different locations do y'all have money? The long kiosk table?
The kiosk big.
Right.
It's real, like it's this room
Right.
big, and it's got a table this wide all the way around it.
Okay.
Well, on 2 sides of it. And I mean, it was those sides, money. The 20s took up that far side, the entirety of it. And we actually ran out of room and started putting 20s on that computer table that was just next to it. So there was stacks over there too, but not many.
So just 2 different locations? Y'all
Yes,
had 20s?
That's right.
No other place? Alright. Nobody found a loose $20 bill on the floor or anything, did they?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
If they would have, they would. Jesus.
I would say that, I just have to go with the money.
That was, no matter whose it was going with
Oh yeah,
money.
sorry.
Yeah.
Alright, final count signed. Corporal Nix took possession of the currency and transported it to CEF. Baker completed the evidence report and placed the drugs in the marijuana evidence locker. You contacted Sergeant DeBose so the digital chain of command could be transferred.
I put chain of command. Should be chain
Chain
of
of
custody.
custody, sorry. Chain of custody can be transferred to CEF. Corporal Welsh looked on the first. Located a plastic evidence bag that contained an unknown amount of U.S. currency. The bag was located between a briefcase and the rear of the driver's seat. The evidence was found at approximately 22:30 hours when Corporal Welsh went to his patrol vehicle to get paperwork out for a briefcase. The third, Corporal Welsh was notified by Corporal Nix that the seized money was taken to the bank, and the bank stated that the money amount came out to be over $3,000 less than the total that was tallied at the Sumter's office. Did he indicate what bank they went to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Corporal Nix explained that the tally sheet that was signed was correct on all denominations except for the $20 bills. How that tally sheet was Corporal Nix referencing the first count of $20 bills, or he's just saying, hey, listen, the amount of 20s that were taken to the bank do not match up our tally sheet we agreed on that night?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep, so everything, so that tally sheet, they took it to the bank, and I guess they used money counters at the bank. And I'll say if they said there was $47 in ones, whatever it is, I'm just throwing a number out there. They made sure that money counter counted out 47 in ones. Same thing with 10s, 20, and 20s was the only one that was off. But I mean, that was the big one.
When y'all had the money laid out, did y'all take a photograph of the money laid out?
Not that I recall.
In different denominations? Do you know if anybody took a photograph of the money laid out in different denominations?
Honestly, during this time we were all being so quiet. We weren't talking to each other. You know, trying that way we didn't throw anybody off. I know nobody had everybody's hands were full of money.
Right.
Nobody had the cell phones out or anything.
You took the glory shot?
I have one, yes ma'am.
And then you photographed the items, not where they were found, but where they were placed once you found them on scene.
I have to look back at my pictures.
Okay.
Because I know I took a picture of the, because once Sumter County got there, I was thinking they were going to take it over. They kind of looked in the car and stuff too. And when the supervisor told me they weren't taking it, one of the narcs was kind of, I mean, wasn't digging or anything, was kind of looking in or whatever. I said, hey, I said, make sure y'all don't touch anything. And I said, if y'all not taking the case, y'all just get out of the car. I said, I got to photograph it. I knew for a fact I photographed the money that's in the center console before.
Okay. All right, let's see. Bring the money to the CEF. Took the money to the CEF. You're advised to tell to go to Troop 1. Transported evidence to Troop 1 and met with Captain Shelton and Lieutenant Danback. Opened the money, they counted it. $8.94. Major Patterson arrived. Told you were being suspended. Shelton advised you were being suspended without duty, without pay, until further notice. You turned all your stuff in?
Everything.
What about your uniforms at home? Did they get those too? So when
they have suspended me as if he said as if I was terminated. I don't have a single thing.
Alright, transported you back home, and you gave your remaining stuff to Lieutenant Danback. Okay, I'm gonna check about the polygraph. Anything else you could think of y'all could have done differently at this point?
Oh, good God. We don't have enough time for me to hindsight.
But you do see that there are potential errors in what took place.
The first thing that I should have done as a supervisor and looking out for my guys, I should have never let them in that office once I took that money once we got the money from Baker that was on his person. Me and Nick should have been the only two in there. That way they could nothing could ever be said about them. And I told them that, you know, just by speaking with them, because they're upset that they may be miscounted, and it's gotten me and Nick's in trouble. There's a bunch of stuff. Honestly, in my opinion, that amount of money, I was supposed to get off at 12. I know that's no excuse, me being tired. We shouldn't be counting that amount of money by hand. I wish we had money counters. I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, you can get them cheap. And as far as my other stuff, that was just lapse of judgment on my part.
Alright. And maybe also to recount and count and
And
recount
count
again?
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my first time ever, because every time I've ever worked interdiction and we've hit big money,
Got a mounting counter generally close by, or it just gets done.
normally HSI or DEA's with us.
Right.
And they take it in a sum, you know, they go count it, or either if we ever count it, I've never counted money. They use money counter, or if it's daytime when we do it, they take it straight to a bank. Right
This is
then.
the largest seizure you ever been involved with?
That I've personally done, yes. I've been working interdiction when they've gotten like 300,000, you know, 100,000, 20,000. I've been around it. I've seen it. I've seen 800,000 before. So, but as far as me being
Good for you, you didn't have to count the 800,000.
good God, and the bad thing is, so that was all hundreds, and it
Okay, well,
was.
that's a little easier than.
It wasn't. Hey, it really wasn't much more money a stack than this. That's
Yeah.
what we talked about that at the office because Nick remembers the bust, and Clarendon County got it years ago,
Mhm.
and they were talking. The boys were talking about, God, I bet that was a bunch of money. I said, no, it was all hundreds. It was
Easy count if it's all hundreds.
a little stack of it.
Yeah.
But this is the first time I've ever dealt with an incident like this where I've been the supervisor, and it was all on me. I've never had any experience in it.
Is there anything else you could think of you'd like to add, Cam?
I think you know every second that has happened.
And if not, then obviously if we have a follow-up interview, we'll definitely do it, but I would try to get something figured out for your polygraph.
Okay.
So we can get that, squared away and done. Alright, if you have nothing further, we'll talk about the pictures once we get out there. That will conclude this interview. The time now is 12:18.
Take this back. I don't want to steal your pen because I will. Hey, if I'll steal anything, I will steal a pen.
And just take a look through your phone and see if you can get those pictures.
Yes, I can send it to you.
Alright,
Can I come out?
yes.